Now, why? I've done it again. I don't understand this thing. I thought we'd have a Thursday night live. Why not? So I think I scheduled it to work at 7:15, which I realise is at the end of the Archers, and it's gone live now. So that's silly. Anyway, here we are. We are live now. Notice new location. Dog. So joining me on the sofa, I've got Pixie. Behind the sofa, obviously, I've got Sausage. Down there on the floor, I've got Beetle. And curled up in front of the fire, I have got, Badger. Hello, Stu. Hello, Andrew. So we're here with the dogs live in the snug. And check this out. I know. Somebody said to me earlier on the last video, they were like, you're eating mince pies, it can't be Christmas. I'm like, hang on a minute. Fires, mince pies, coloured lights can't just be a Christmas thing. We are allowed to have them throughout the rest of the year, surely. Well, God, you have to have a fire in this house, otherwise you'd freeze. Jeggins or no jeggins. I'm her Mike. I'm here, Mike. Hello, Mike. So I've had to come away from the radio a little bit today because it's doing my absolute nut in. And some of the stuff that I'm hearing coming from alleged adults' mouths that are in Parliament is genuinely astounding. The Rachel Reeves thing, blaming the economy and the lack of growth, the lack of GDPR growth on Jaguar Land Rover, you would never expect me to defend them, would you? But even I'm defending them. I mean, if anyone's going to blame them, Rach, that's my gig. But I can't blame them for the absolute slumping growth, and nor can you, because let's be totally honest, Jaguar Land Rover weren't doing brilliantly, were they? And some people say that the cyber thing was a bit of a cloak and daggers for the fact that their sales were dropping horrifically. I mean, the dog's turned off now. She's like, really? Are you going on about Land Rover again? Sorry, Donk. Some people may say that. I wouldn't say that, but I don't think that we can deny that Jaguar Land Rover weren't in the best financial health. And so to blame the lack of growth in the economy on them is mental on two levels. One, because I'm sub to you, but no little envelope, just seen you on my homepage. Oh, I don't know why that is. Yes, please do like and subscribe. It's supposed to tell you when we're doing this, but actually check, because they're unsubscribing people. So it's a YouTube thing. It's happened to the Black Belt Barrister. It's happened to a couple of others, and they're unsubscribing people. Anyway, back to Land Rover. So I don't understand how our economy can be so directly linked to Land Rover. It makes no sense. And the fact that they had a cyber attack, why are we blaming the co-op? Why aren't we blaming Marks and Spencer's? Why have we picked on Jaguar Land Rover? Because the government had to bail them out, for sure, which not everybody agreed with. But now we're saying, oh, well, because we gave you money and because we saved the country money by saving jobs. That makes sense, does it? But you know what I mean? Because we saved jobs, but you didn't actually really save any jobs. Then we're going to blame it on that. What's next month going to be? I mean, are you going to blame the dog? What? She hasn't had any pig ears this month because we can't afford them. So is it her fault? That one, oh, let's not even start with that one. But that one's not had any of her favourite food because A, she's gone off it, but her favourite food is like £3 a month more expensive. So because she's not having that and she's having the cheap shit, does that mean that it's her fault? I mean, really. Anyway, please keep asking your questions. They're my favourite things. Hello. I hope you relax when the camera is off. I do. This is my nightly position. I sit on this sofa with the dogs. They normally, if I sit back, they'll get on me. And growth is down because you haven't filled your tax return in yet. That's good, Stu. And I do sit here with the dogs and watching the Foresights on Channel 5. That's quite good. Oh my God, did anyone else watch Murder Before Evensong? It was the best. And I can't watch scary things, but it was kind of a cross between Midsummer Murders meets Bergerac. That and Howard's Way, soundtrack to my youth. It was Midsummer Murders mixed with Bergerac, mixed with, what was the other really nice period thing that I really liked? Oh, Life on Mars. It was awesome. In front of my nice open fire. Yeah, look at that. It's actually, look, you'll like this. So you know me, I'm a bit, some people call it tight. I like to say that I'm, well, skinned. But you won't have seen, if you're new to the channel, you won't have seen last year's breeze block scenario. So these were my like £1 breeze blocks because the fire wasn't drawing. It's a massive fireplace, as you can see. I mean, look at that, absolutely massive. And we couldn't get it to draw, and we couldn't afford a log burner. Well, we just couldn't afford to do anything with it. If you'll understand if you've ever renovated a house and lived in an old one, they just suck all the money. I mean, it's like literally we could have put all of our money on that fire, set fire to it, and it had gone up, and we'd have had as much enjoyment as we would have had having it in the bank. So I bought breeze blocks, and they were £1 each. We heightened the fire, and it's worked like an absolute Bobby Dazzler. Brilliant! I love it. So that's my homemade breeze block fire. It is very unusual in this day and age to have a large fire. I mean, it will be taxed, obviously. Rachel Reeves, Ed Miliband will say that we may not have that, and it's going to cost us, an extra 20% on each one of our logs, which it kind of does anyway, because the heating bills are so expensive that everybody's now putting log burners in and wood fires in, or exposing wood fires. So now, obviously, logs are significantly more expensive because none of us can afford to put the actual central heating on. But somebody gave me a really good tip the other day that you can go on websites and find free firewood, like free pallets and just free wood to burn. I mean, we could sort of burn all the manifestos in the Labour Party, couldn't we? That would keep us going for a little while. But I actually, when we moved into this house, that was sort of like a 1970s gas fire, and I exposed it, and I absolutely love it. But we had to plaster on top of it because it's effectively falling down like everything else is. Anyway, I digress. Back to Rachel Reeves and blaming Jaguar Land Rover, which genuinely, as much as it's funny, it's actually not funny, is it? Because it really does show such a huge lack of understanding about what we're feeling and about how we might take the news. I mean, yesterday there was the news that unemployment is up to 5%. And instead of thinking about the people that have just lost their jobs, that might be about to lose their jobs, that can't pay their mortgages, that can't pay for the food, that can't pay for all the things that they had, I mean, the insurance. I overheard a lady talking about how her son had just bought a car on finance and then just lost his job. And you might turn around and say first world problems, but we sort of are supposed to live in a first world country. So I would say that's okay, is it not? To buy a car, and he's had to buy it on finance, but he sounded like he was quite a young chap. And now he's lost his job. So he's lost his job and his car. And that's how it's affecting him. And then there's people that are losing their houses, people that can't afford to pay the rent, people that literally are paying for their food on Klarna. And Rachel Reeves is blaming Land Rover. She's not talking about the fact that we're in dire straits, which I hate saying that because I actually love them. That was, again, another soundtrack to my childhood. My dad used to have them on the brown stuff, vinyl. And we know all of that. In fact, my kids, when we were younger, had to learn it's not down, down, down. That's not Dire Straits. What was the Dire Straits one? Somebody will know it. Anyway, why don't Jaguar Land Rover have any? Well, so Phil, I can answer that. Why didn't Jaguar Land Rover have any cybersecurity? Apparently, according to an interview I heard about 6 weeks ago, they were just about to sign on the dotted line and didn't, which you sort of think in the same way that if you buy a car, you've got to have car insurance. I mean, insurance has to be in place for so many things before you can complete the purchase. And you kind of think, why were Jaguar Land Rover held to different standards to us? You can't get a mortgage unless you've got house insurance. Money for nothing, that was it. Money for nothing and you get for free. Microwave ovens. So I don't understand why big companies that are at threat of cybersecurity and cyber attacks, why they don't have to have that level of insurance. But then, of course, as we know with insurance companies, I cite you my horse, they'll never pay out anyway. So almost what's the point? We had to have insurance in our last house because my other half knocked over an entire full tin of paint and it went all the way down the stair carpet. And I mean, it was quite funny actually, because when we moved in, the carpets were beautiful English wool carpets. They'd obviously spent an absolute fortune. Then I walk in with the 5 kids, the 5 dogs, You know, it was like Meet the Fockers, and those beautiful wool carpets stayed beautiful for about 3 minutes. Paul, you're not 10 minutes late at all. Don't worry. I didn't know how to set it up. I didn't know if it was going to work. I didn't even know I was going to do it. You're not late. So anyway, we had these beautiful wool carpets, and then the other half knocked a tin of paint right downstairs. It was obviously my fault, apparently, because I hadn't put the lid on properly. But anyway, we digress. So when the insurance company came round, they say like for like. I think what they, yeah, it was nothing like for like. They were like, you can have the ones that, you know, you can put bleach on and are indestructible, and bear little resemblance to a carpet, but are cheap. And I was like, but can I not have the English wool ones? No. And I don't know whether that was an insurance thing or whether they saw me and my family and the sort of like too many children and the too many animals, and they were just like, there's no point putting that in there. Hello, Jessica Mumford. I just found your page this week and I'm now a fan. Yay! Hi, Jessica. Welcome to our family. It's not just me, it's the YouTubers. It's nice to have you. Oh, hang on a minute. Sorry, Jessica, I've been distracted because Scrag above you, Craig, has just watched my video about a horse box. So, Jessica, I'll fill you in. We've had a complete disaster with the cars, and I have 2 towing cars that can't tow, and we have a horse that needs towing and other things that need doing. And so I was going to get, I probably still am going to get a Toyota Hilux. But last night, my absolute brainwave was, why don't I get a 7.5-ton horse box? Because they are, I mean, they're not dirt cheap. Nothing in life is dirt cheap, but I could get a 57 plate horse box with about 150,000 on the clock, which is nothing with a horse box. I could fit our horse, any ponies from the yard, etc., in it. It could go to places it's got live-in. So when we go away for overnight competitions, then we can stay in it, which cuts down the cost on Airbnbs and all that kind of stuff. Or a tent. Never. I'm so past camping. I mean, I'll wave to you when you do it. I'm not doing it. And it's got toilets in it, you know. I mean, I'm one of those people that I don't like going to the toilet unless it's in my own house. This is probably too much information, but I feel like we're old friends, so you can have that. So I just won't go to the loo unless it's at home. But I feel like I might be able to bring myself to go to a toilet in my own horse box and not in the back of the horse trailer, which is what you have to do if you're caught short out on a show. And so I thought the horse box might be quite a good idea. Literally everyone's coming back going, no to the horse box. No, don't do it, Anna. So we'll see. I'm on the fence. I'm probably going to stick with the plan of the Hilux, but you know, I've got to research it. I've got to look at it. And I love that you're all helping me with this. And it is a little bit, it's not 50-50. I'd say it's 60-40, don't do it. But I you know, you gotta look at these things, and if nothing else, what else are we going to do? I mean, there's naff all on the telly unless you've got an RTV in here doesn't replay all the bits that you want to watch, so we may as well look at that. A quick fit advert just came on in the middle of your live stream. Have I got adverts on this? I didn't think that was a thing. Goodness, well, I don't know how to do that. Apologies, I'll have a look at that. Mike Graham sacked from Talk TV. Well, this is the beauty. So loads of people say, why don't you go back on TV? For many reasons. I mean, I would, depending on what the job was, but not in a role that's got any kind of censorship, which seems to be all roles. You know, it's no fun not being able to say that Rachel Reeves is the most incompetent chancellor that we've ever had. Bridget Phillipson is an educational vandalist. And I think Keir Starmer has psychological issues. You know, if you can't say that out loud, then what's the point of doing it? But yeah, I'm not surprised. It's just this whole Trump thing, I think, has put the fear of God into everyone. So is Trump going to sue the BBC? Probably. Will it work? Unlikely. But does it make a statement? Totally. I think he's sort of making this a political thing. I think the BBC, you know, we can knock them and we do knock them, and I knock them being an ex-employee. But I feel if it's going to go down, it shouldn't be because of the president of America. I feel if it's going to go down, let it go down for something that's happened by us to us. And actually, whilst we could get deep and meaningful about the BBC, my reality with the BBC is the issues are mainly with small subsections of the departments. And that editor that made that edit for Panorama, where was his editor, her editor? Where were their, yeah, something was missing there. Someone couldn't be asked. Somebody had their own agenda. Somebody had read too much of the small print, and this is the problem with the BBC. They just got tied in absolute knots of what you can and can't do, and they lost the focus of the fact that they're broadcasters paid for by the license fee, us, and that's what they're there to do. But anyway, we digress. I did used to work for CBBC. I started out in the broom cupboard, and it is like a broom cupboard. And then I did Top Gear GTI, which is hilarious, really. I mean, I'm almost embarrassed to say that given the Land Rover debacle. I did Top Gear GTI, I did Liquid News, I did loads of stuff. And then I went to Sky, Channel 4, Channel 5, ITV, I mean, but it's so last year. But I don't think they'd have me back there now. Go YouTube Premium, no ads. How do I even do that? Oh my God. And listen, this is the second live stream. I feel proud that we've got this far. And I have brought the dogs in. Everyone says they wanted the animals involved. So look, there are the dogs. Badgie, can you say hello to everyone? Pixie, can you say hello? Nonnas. Nonnas, look. Here is the little sausage. Oh, you're a good girl. And Beetle's got a bit of an itchy ear. Beetle. I'm going to have to get the funny stuff out. So when if you've got a Labrador, any dogs that get prone to ear infections, sweetheart, you're not allowed just to give them antibiotic stuff anymore, which costs like 90 quid from the vets. You have to do swabs and stuff so that they know whether it's bacterial, not bacterial, or what. I mean, who's ever had a Labrador that's not had a bacterial ear infection? When's it ever been anything other than a mancubacterial infection because they shove their heads in absolutely everything they shouldn't? They swim in disgusting rivers and lakes. That's you. And you know, they're dogs. Of course it's bacterial. You go to the vets and we'll just do a swab to see if it's environmental. But it is environmental. It's from a cow field down the road where she goes swimming. She's got mank in it and it's turned into something even more manky. And can we just have some antibiotics, please? And could we not have to get a small mortgage out to pay for them? Thanks ever so much. But anyway, that's where we're at. Gosh, I do go off on a tangent, don't I? Sausage, you've got lots of fans. Sausage is a miniature sausage. She's very, very sweet. She is. Oh my God, she's so naughty. You've never met anything like it. I mean, she looks like butter wouldn't melt, wouldn't she? But oh God, yeah, grass seeds. Grass seeds are a nightmare, and when they get them in their feet. So Ian has just said, don't mention grass seeds in our cocker spaniels. I'm assuming you're meaning Ian. And they get in their feet, they get in their ears, they get in their eyes. It's an absolute nightmare. I can't bear it. And a bit like if they get a tick, you're not supposed to pull it out with the tweezers. Getting grass seeds out, you've got to be very careful about because they've got an outer shell, which is what you'll all know if you've ever used the fast-acting grass seed in the garden, where you put it in. It costs an absolute bloody fortune, but apparently the grass will grow in like 48 minutes. Never does. But they have outer shells, and if you get that stuck, yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare. Ian's for hire. What for, Ian? Sorry, it is before the watershed, 7:33. So what have we done tonight then? I mean, we've literally only been on for 20 minutes, and we've done vet bills. We've done Rachel Reeves and her never-ending bills. We've done Bridget Phillipson. So she's wanging on about how attendance rates have gone up. And discipline has got better and better and blah, blah. I can't even go down that road, particularly about the news tonight that they're going to, because of the awful Sarah Sharif case, they're going to crack down on home education. Like, home education wasn't the problem there. Home education was nothing to do with that there. That was a family that wanted to abuse their child. That was the problem. It's probably not what we should be talking about at this time of night because it's, yeah. But Bridget Phillipson is behind all of that, and that is just a complete dereliction of duty. That is an abuse of power, and that is not serving the children that she is supposed to be serving in her position as education. Oh my God! Loud Bob, you just dropped some cat treats off for the crazy lady. I don't even know what that means. I'm not a crazy cat lady, am I? I'm a crazy dog lady, but thank you. That's very kind, I think. I don't know. Thank you. Love your work exposing the failings of this catastrophic government. Yeah, especially Bridget. Will you please do a video on clause 4 of the children's bill? Mandatory ID through the back door. Yes. Okay, yes. Now, I've got to get to grips with the education bill because it is very technical and I am slightly to grips with it, but you're absolutely right. What's happening with the education and welfare bill, which really matters to anyone that knows children. You don't need to have children. You don't need to be, whether you're a grandparent, whether you're a single person, whatever. What this is education that is being entirely controlled by the state, and parental rights are being pushed aside so that the state will control your child to the point of having almost barcode numbers. Now, yes, I will get back to that because that needs a lot of facts and figures. That's not just for a chit chat at night, but it's horrendous. And if anybody wants to have a look at the education and wellbeing bill, it's a meaty read. It's sort of do half of it if you can't sleep, and then the other half of it when you've woken up. But it's terrifying. So we will do a video about that, absolutely. But I need to get all my ducks in a row on that one, and we need to make sure that we really are supporting the kids very much. Yes, you're right. More people do need to know about it. And I think what it exposes for me, obviously we've got the actual education and wellbeing bill, but what we're seeing here is Bridget Phillipson manipulating the entire education sector, whether it be the state sector, the independent sector, the selective sector, the faith sector, the vocational sector. It doesn't matter what it is. She wants to get her hands on your children's education and their minds. And as I put in a video the other day, to put in the national curriculum to teach children how to pleasure themselves safely. And I think that says it all. It's a big worry for whether you've got children or whether you don't, because the people that are coming out of these schools will at some point be in positions where they will be adults. And we really, really need to think about what's going in right now. Moving on to a slightly lighter note, I can see Jay has said, have I made my mind up on a pickup and a trailer or a horse lorry yet? No. So I said this at the beginning, but I just don't know. So I've been put off the horse lorry a bit because I've got a really bad back and everyone says it's going to be really bloody uncomfortable to drive. But then someone said I can retrofit. I've got to plate it. So that's another expense. And it's obviously going to be more expensive for MOTs, insurance and running costs. That said, I don't think we'll do much more than 3,000 to 5,000 miles a year on it. So its running costs aren't going to be lower, and I'm going to hammer my Hilux because that's going to have to be the tow car for the horse box and the normal car for the kids and the school run and the shopping run, etc., 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 and the dogs. I don't know. So I don't know. And my daughter really wants a horse lorry because she wants the live-in bit. But that will save us loads of money because when we go for overnights in competitions, we don't have to pay for an Airbnb and stuff. We talked about me having to use the Portaloo in it, which is really... it's either that or a bladder infection. I don't know if you ever saw the Amanda Land, but that is me. So no is the long and the short of it. I haven't, but I am investigating it. I'm a bit nervous, but what I could do is get the horse lorry because they are definitely in budget, but it is literally like, it will look like a retro lorry. It's from the 1980s. I don't care. I'm not proud. And I could get a Hilux, an old Hilux as well. I don't know. We shall see. Hope that's answered your question, which is the long and the short of it. No, I haven't made my mind up. And I've still got 2 bloody Land Rovers to get rid of before I can do any of this. So it's all slightly immaterial. Remember when the 60s counterculture said, question everything now, it's legal to question government? Yes. Do I miss live TV and why did I leave it? Yeah, I do sometimes. This is filling a gap. I'm loving this. I left it because, well, for several reasons. First of all, I moved to Hong Kong and there was no TV industry in Hong Kong, so I couldn't do live TV, well, any TV there. And then when I came back from Hong Kong, I was divorced. And I had my kids and I was on my own. So one of them was 3 and the other one was 7. And I was a newsreader on Look East, look some kind of compass point for the BBC. But I did the evening news, so I did the 6:30 news and then the 10:30 headline. So I didn't get home until, well, it was in Cambridge, so sort of 11:30ish. So I had to have babysitters, and that cost a lot of money. And then my son was a swimmer. He used to get up at that point twice a week at sort of 4:30 in the morning. So I'd get home at 11:30 at night and then get up at 4:30 in the morning to take him to swim. And it just didn't work. And then I came out of TV because I was looking after my kids and I was on my Todd, and it was not very easy. And I just didn't go back into it. But then the YouTube thing came up, and I feel it was good. So this is it. Somebody says if you're going to do the lives regularly, you might want to add a couple of MODs to filter the trolls and nonsense comments. Help you out. I don't read them. I don't even know what an MOD is, but I don't read them, and I honestly don't care if people are that bored that that's what they want to do. You write your life. I'm impervious to it. I'm like Keir Starmer with that. If somebody's that bored that they want to sit here and write bad stuff about me, do what you like. I struggle to read the nice comments. I'm not bothered about the old comments. That's where I know your face. Yeah, that's where I know your face. Old TV. Is TV as well paid as people believe it is? Are you having a laugh? Oh my God, no. It can be. I mean, back in my heyday when I was working for Sky TV, yeah, it was quite well paid. But on the whole, no, absolutely not. And you're a product. So, you know, for as long as you're useful and you fit the bill, then yeah, it's great. But the minute you don't, no, you're done. You way better than, oh, that's very kind, thank you. So no, it's not as well paid as people think it is. Well, although having said that, apparently Kelly Brook's being paid an absolute fortune for I'm a Celebrity. I suppose if you go down the reality TV route, it is, but then when you work after it and you've got to eat rice for 3 weeks, I mean, no thanks. Some of the comments are rude, yeah, whatever. Well, no, the thing I say, look east. So Matthew Vaughan says look east or something that obviously made a lasting impact. I think it was look east west. So I was working in Cambridge for look east, but then there was like a subsection of look east. So I suppose it's like East Midlands, or Midlands Today has East Midlands Today and Midlands Today. But this wasn't like look East Anglia, West East Anglia. This was like look East West. And it was just which compass point do you want to be tonight? So I did love it. I really loved it. And do you know what? They were a good team there. They were a good team. Some of them, absolute bunch of arseholes, but they were a really good team. Being recognised everywhere would be a pain. Well, you didn't. So for a start, people would go, she looks a bit like. I get recognised more now for this than I did when I was on telly. So people think she looks a bit like, because I was working in kids TV, nobody could tell the difference between me, Kirsten O'Brien and Zoe Ball. So they were all like, it's that one off the telly. Lots of people used to say I look like Esther Ranson, and apparently the mouth of Julia Roberts. Well, I'm not going to turn that one down, am I? And I didn't turn Esther Ranson down either. It's the teeth. Please identify which dog is which. Thank you. Oh, okay. Well, we've done that, but we'll do it again. This is Pixie. That's Badger. This is Sausage. And that's Beetle. And you see that thing there? That's carpet shampoo and stain remover because of that one. Someone's just come to the back door. So that's why they're all going. Or someone's coming downstairs. Which I actually did promise. They were on 28:45. I said I'd only do half an hour. Liz Hurley? Oh my God. I love that. I mean, I don't, but thanks very much. Was Alan Partridge my producer? No. My other half loves Alan Partridge, watches all the old ones. I mean, literally sits in bed. You can tell how middle-aged we are. Sits in bed at night with the iPad and the headphones on, watching reruns of Alan Partridge. I know, Sausage, it's a silly one, isn't it? He did Norfolk Radio. Yes, he did. I never really watched that. That was kind of a thing when I lived in Hong Kong. Best doggo loving ever. Oh, I do love my dogs. We've got a bit of a dog cemetery in here as well, because when we lose dogs, I have to have them cremated and put in the little boxes, because I can't bear not to have them. I literally have to have all my animals. So I mean, it's not funny, but it slightly is. So in that cupboard there, I've got the ashes of 2 dogs and a horse, as you do. But they're with me. I made the mistake. We had Margot the cat, who was Stanley's best mate, and I made the mistake of burying Margot in the garden under a rose bush, which I love because the roses, it's a really lovely peach bush, and they just every summer I think there's Margot. But if we ever move, I've left Margot and the ducks. The ducks are buried in the garden as well. And in fact, one of the puppies, yeah, let's not go down there. What do you work now, and what are you hoping to do career-wise in the future? Well, Paul, it's an amalgamation of what do I do work-wise now. I have an Airbnb in Sheringham, which I run and manage, and Rachel Reeves is sucking all the fun out of that, so I'm probably going to have to sell it. I am a student again, so I'm studying counselling. I'm in my 4th year of that. I've been at college all day today. I've got a placement coming up, which I'm really excited about. So I do a lot of work for that. And then I do quite a lot of sort of, well, I work for, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I think I'm probably not allowed to say that. But I do a bit of journalistic-y, writing-y stuff, freelance-y stuff. I think it's probably best keep it that way. But that's what I do. Who's the dog with the blue jumper? Oh, God, oh, ho, ho, very funny. Yes, it is a bit of a pet cemetery. But I'd rather have them with me, dead or alive. Margot was named after the good life. So all of my friends used to call me Margot Ledbetter. I'd rather be, did you watch To the Manor Born? I mean, I just loved her. Bravenger? They always used to say I was like Margot from The Good Life, but I thought I was the other one. What was she called? Oh, and she was so lovely. Barbara. I was more Barbara because I like my gardening. I'm always muddy and dirty and a bit dishevelled. I thought I was more Barbara, but people used to call me Margot. And Margot from The Good Life was what we called our little pussycat after. Was the football on? Oh, that's probably what I could hear upstairs. That will be my son yelling then. What was my experience of working in TV? Was it as toxic and cutthroat as many of us are led to believe? Felicity Kendall, yes. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depended what stable you worked for. So I didn't have a good experience on Sky News, on live news, but I had a really good experience with, I did a program called 3D, which was a politics program, and that was brilliant. And everyone there was a team. CBBC was a great team. CBBC, the producers, we had Les, he did props. We loved Les too, Bob. We had a really beautiful team at CBBC, which I think probably is one of the reasons why I carried on doing TV, because I thought everyone would be like that. Not so much. I think there was a lot of self-importance in TV. I think, if you're working with talent, on-screen talent, there's always going to be a lot of that, and that did get a little bit toxic. But you have to learn when to leave it, and you also have to remember that you're simply, a product on the telly. I tell you what I did while I was on TV, which I really loved, and it's sort of slightly why I've gone into counselling. I was a psychiatric geriatric, like auxiliary volunteer helper thing. I used to wipe bottoms and mouths and stuff on a psychiatric geriatric ward in London, and it was my best job. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Some of my patients were just wonderful people. And it was the kind of thing that if you're going to work in TV, I think you need to have something out of TV that keeps you with your feet on the floor and remembering who you are. If you start going around going, I only want yellow M&Ms in my dressing room, then it's a bit of a disaster. So yeah, I liked that. I liked doing the volunteering and stuff. Oh my goodness! Someone's just given us £10 to eat for that. I didn't know you could do that. Tox, pig ears. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, how lovely. I can't tell you who the best and the worst people I came across in telly were, Paul. But I would say Sylv, who was the sort of secretary to all of us at CBBC, she was darling. My agent was awesome. I loved my agent. She was an absolute rock star. I met lots of nice people. I tell you who I really don't like, who I did work with, and I'm quite happy for this to be public. Terry bloody Christian. Now he is someone that you couldn't pay me to go on a studio floor with him again. There you go. Do with that what you will. Don't know, I've had it for years. Charity shop, probably. Terry Christian, absolute piece of work, arsehole, the end. When I worked with him, we did a thing called Turn on Terry, and he was actually all right. And I've defended him in the past, and I regret that because when we worked together, he was okay, but he has simply killed himself with the horrendous opinions that he shares on X. And he called children that go to independent schools. He calls the schools the C word factories, and that's one word I will not allow in this house. We know I F-bomb a lot. We know I've got a bit of a mouth like a nabby, but I will not allow the C word. And he called independent schools C factories, and he was calling children Cs. And I just won't have it. So yeah, I'm sorry. He's one that we're not into. Maybe I had a bad time in TV. Do you know what? Yeah, you're just not allowed to say what you want to say, and you're not allowed to be who you want to be. So yeah. I read once that the Sky Studio was nicknamed Skyberia because it was so far out of London. It was in Chiswick or near Chiswick. Do you know what I did there? I used to work overnights at Sky, and this is what you did as a jobbing presenter. I mean, you took any job. Well, I took any job I got. I'm sure other people were more discerning, but I had bills to pay. So I worked overnights at Sky doing the World Service stuff, which I loved. And ironically, when I moved to Hong Kong, I was almost more famous when I got to Hong Kong because so many people had seen my overnights and they were like, "Oh, you do British news." Hello. I was like, "Hello." But I did that, and then I used to drive. I used to come home. I lived in Wandsworth. Come home, sleep for a little bit, and then I used to drive to Manchester to go and film. Oh my God, what was that called? I don't know whether it's my age or I haven't got enough patches on HRT or what. I cannot remember the name of anything. It was a TV show on the BBC. It was regional. They did it anyway. Anyway, Deborah Van Bishop was my producer. She was glorious, lovely, lovely woman. Well, anyway, and I used to work in Manchester, do a day's filming, sometimes go over and film with Terry Christian after the end of that day, and then come back, have a day of sort of sleep until lunchtime-ish, go and do some voiceovers. I used to do voiceovers for Virgin Radio, Virgin Airways I used to do, all the in-flight stuff. The government I used to do voiceovers for. I mean, they paid quite well, so I'm not going to lie, I sold my soul to the devil. And then I'd go back to Chiswick and do an overnight on Sky and do the whole thing again. I can't believe you with Chris Moyles. It was a long time ago. He was, do you know what? Chris was a lovely bloke. I don't know if he still is. When I knew him, he was a lovely, lovely bloke, but I haven't seen him in years. So yeah. Hang on a minute. When I was a teen in the late 70s, I loved to watch the Benny Hill show. No, that wouldn't be allowed on the TV. You're not even allowed to watch Little Britain or Come Fly With Me. That's gone. I've just got another sub. Thank you, Liam. Nice to have you. You get lots of videos from me. I can only apologise, but it's like verbal diarrhea. Once I start, I can't stop. And I have so many things that I want to tell you all, and I feel like this is where you can laugh at me because I'm autistic, and so my part of being autistic is that I don't really like going out very much. I don't like people. I mean, I love people, but I find it quite intimidating. I get quite nervous and stuff. So you're my friends. So I talk to my YouTube friends. So this is lovely. So Liam, you'll get loads of videos from me because I go, oh, I must tell my YouTubers. Menopause forgetting names you will remember at 2 a.m. Believe me, I know. Do you know what? I don't do the waking up thing. So that's one thing I don't do. I sleep like a baby. Apparently I snore like a monster, but I sleep like a baby. It's that's a whole new thing, isn't it? When you get old, you sort of think you sleep like a princess and you go to sleep at night looking, and you wake up in the morning with a bit of spit and dribble down your face and a sore throat because you've spent the entire night going. Perhaps that is too much information. What are my favourite and least favourite parts of the UK based on where I've lived and travelled? I love where I am now, but I think Derbyshire and the Yorkshire Dales have a very special place in my heart. just because my parents used to take us on magical mystery tours. And I can remember we went to Matlock Bath to see the flotilla. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that. The coolest thing. And it was all these like, I wouldn't say they were boats. They must have been boats. Were they boats, Sausage? You weren't born. Sausage is saying hello to everybody. Or can you see the ghost? You looking at the ghost or are you looking at the people? So Matlock I loved. I did my Duke of Edinburgh Award in Derbyshire. Really liked that. I love the Yorkshire Dales. I mean, I want to be James Herriot is ultimately what I want. I want to be. Do you watch Channel 5? If any of you watch Channel 5, I'm addicted to all my Yorkshire vets, this Yorkshire Life farming. Like that's just, yes, please. Put me in some hay with some baby lambs and a rutting llama and I'm happy. There you go. Hi, Alex. Yay. It's a good gang, isn't it? People and wasps. The sea. I don't really know what that means, but I'll laugh. Yeah, the people person thing is, I mean, I love people. I do love people. And you can tell I will talk forever. But I can get quite intimidated I suppose, in big cities and a bit like when my kids were little, if we used to go to a pizza place for tea, the first thing they wanted to know was how they could get out and where the toilets are. And they obviously get that from me. And I don't like parties. I find them really noisy. I find them a sensory overload. It's a bit much. So I like this. And I love all the questions and stuff. I just feel like I'm not keeping up with them very well, but I'm trying my hardest. Jessica, it's nice to have seen you. Have a good night. I mean, yeah, to be fair, I said I'd finish at 7:30 and here we are at 8 o'clock. But we will do another one. I promise. Tony Archer, you're not the Tony Archer, are you? Not the actual Tony Archer. If you tell me you're married to Pat and you're Helen's dad, that's it. I mean, we'll be friends for life. Always in the kitchen at parties, yes. How did I know I was autistic? Well, do you know what, Paul? That's a funny one. I think I always knew something. So I was dyslexic at school, but I was at school in the 80s, so it didn't exist. So I was a bit odd, a bit weird, a bit slow, a bit all the negative connotations that you get. And then it was actually, I just knew, but I didn't know what it was. I thought I was a bit socially awkward, a bit. I didn't see, I don't know, but my brain has always been very quick. I'm a high executive functioner. And so I knew that was somewhere on the spectrum. And it was only when I was going through the diagnosis with my daughter for her. And I said, come on, I'll do it too. Let's do it together. There was no shame. I didn't want her to feel like going down the autistic diagnostics was anything other than the same as, having a blood test to see if you've got glandular fever. It's just one of those things that when the light bulb for us personally switched. And it was when I was going through that and I was reading, you have to do lots of questionnaires. You have to fill in loads of questionnaires. And I was thinking, other people do that. I thought that was only me. And I just read so many of the do you ever do this? And have you ever felt this? And I was like, yeah. And it was like, there's got to be more than just me then. It's a little bit like, what was the thing in Madagascar? The sloth found all the other sloths or something. It was like, there's clearly a tribe of people out there that are just like me. And then the penny dropped, and that's what it was. I was autistic. And it's the reason why I can do what I can do. It's the reason why I am who I am and where I am. And I personally, for me and for my daughter, and we're the only official ones in our family, I'll leave that with you, but the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It's been brilliant for us. And we're autistic in the same way that she's a dachshund and he's a Labrador. It is who we are. Any special autistic interest? Well, you see, this is the thing. So what's an autistic interest and what's a neurodivergent interest? I know that you might say sort of a hyper focus, and I suppose my hyper focus is animals. And so anything to do with animals, I guess, would be my special focus. Young Ones fan. No, you see, I wasn't a Young Ones fan, although I do remember Neil with hole in my shoe and it's letting in water. The 1980s at school, Russell, it was a thing, wasn't it? It was a thing. Snow next week in the northeast. We had sleet and snow forecast for this weekend, but it's now just turned into rain, fortunately. said no one ever. I listened to you in the backwards of the Oh, in the USA. Hi, Aaron in the US. God, that's exciting, isn't it? That we're in America as well. Nice to meet you. Yes, Melanie Sykes did get diagnosed as autistic a few years ago. I hope she's all right with that. Dave, you get the party thing. Yeah, you see, I think for so many of us, it's something that we have always known, but we've not been able to have. I sort of say it's like having a row of pegs and you don't know which peg to put your hat on or your coat on. I would never change anything about who I am being autistic or any of that. I just wouldn't. But back in the 80s and the 90s, it was not. It's not what it is today. I've got loads of great books about it. I won't bore you with it. But Pete Warmby is somebody who does very good. He's got an audio book if anybody's ever interested. And I think society needs to catch up. I think we need to meet in the middle somewhere. Hang on a minute. Malcolm, no snow. I know we don't really want the snow yet, do we? You were dyslexic in the 80s. Gosh, that was ahead of the game. Yeah, it did. When I was just a bit slow. I mean, I can remember a parents' evening where my geography teacher said to my parents, if only she was as clever as her sister. It's no wonder I'm training to be a counsellor, is it? Right. I'll just see two more. We were all put in the same class no matter what. Yeah. I don't know what that means, so I'm not going to read that one out. I loved the 80s and the 90s different well back then. I tell you what, they had a bloody good soundtrack, didn't they? The 80s and 90s music was. I look back on it nostalgically. Honestly, I think I should have been born in the 30s. I think I'm a 1930s girl. I'm in the wrong generation. I'm in the wrong era. I did love. I was quite young in the 80s. I'm more of a 90s girl, but do you watch Rivals? Did you watch Jilly Cooper's Rivals? Because that I don't want to live in the 80s again, but I do absolutely love Rivals and Life on Mars. That takes me back with seeing the old stuff. I mean, honestly, if a beige Montego ever drove past me, I'd have a complete meltdown. That was my life. No, loads of questions coming in. I've got to go. I look like an absolute ragbag. You're kidding me. I had my contact lenses yesterday. I didn't wear them today because I was at college all day and I haven't quite got used to those funny contact lenses where you can see distance and short close up, but I haven't got used to the close up yet. So I'm a bit like a nodding dog, and I was literally yesterday sitting like this because I couldn't work. Looking at what I was doing. So now I've got my new Specsavers glasses on, which 2 pairs of glasses. I told you this in the video. 2 pairs of glasses, a month of dailies, and an eye test. £178. I know I can talk. Honestly, it's a thing. Yes, it is. I do. You had a Montego. Oh, honestly. So we had a Montego with electric windows at the front and the windy down bits at the back. All the parents had the fun, didn't they? Paul, that's really kind of you. That's really kind. Yeah, I think the problem is being articulate and a communicator. When you've learned the social cues of knowing when you can be articulate and communicate, then it's okay. It's the bit when you're at school and you're not sure quite when that is. So yeah. Last one, James. Oh, actually, they might the brown upholstery. Yeah, total. It's surprising how many famous people are dyslexic. Do you know what I think that is? I think it's because and when you say famous people, I think sort of we're talking about, actors, performers and stuff. I think it's because it's creative. And I think for a lot of us who are dyslexic, our creative juices run fast and thick. And so we put them, we channel them into stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's why so many of us in TV. Albert Einstein, damn right. I mean, we'll have that. We'll have Albert Einstein in the Dyslexic Club. My favourite is Richard Branson. Richard Branson, and I promise I'm going 4 minutes late. Richard Branson was so kind to my son. I will never ever forget it. So my son needed a bit of help with his swimming club. My son was a performance swimmer, and Richard Branson did a video for them, which helped us raise quite a bit of an awareness. But I've forgotten the beginning bit of the story. You see, look, not articulate and eloquent now. The beginning bit of the story was my son had to write something when we were in Hong Kong, had to write a letter to somebody about something. I can't even remember what it was. And he wrote to Richard Branson and he replied. Richard Branson replied to my 6-year-old son. Can you believe that? And he sent him a little tiny silver Virgin aeroplane, which we've still got. And then, so because he'd written this letter and my son wrote to thank him, and then he wrote, thank you for thanking me, or what have you. And then he wrote to ask him to do a video for the swimming club to help promote the swimming club. And he did it. And then when I was the chair of the PA for the junior school, in lockdown, I asked loads of celebrities to record little messages to all of our leavers who couldn't have leavers parties. So I asked, like David Williams did one, Fern Cotton, and Richard Branson did the most amazing, inspiring one. And yeah, I love Richard Branson, and he is very dyslexic and ADHD, I think it is as well. Rivals and Life on Mars, yes. And that is where I am going to leave it. I could do this all night, as you well know, but I do actually, I've got ironing to do, I've got washing to do. I haven't done the washing up from tea, and we had jacket potatoes, and you know what it's like. If you leave a jacket potato on a plate, I mean, you need a blowtorch to get that off. So I've got to do that. The dogs need to go out for a wee and a poo, and then I do need to catch up with my Channel 5, whatever veterinary program it was. But this is awesome. I will try and do another live next week, and I'll try and schedule it so that people can see that I've done it. And yeah, but thank you for your company. It's been awesome to have you sitting around my breeze block fire. Look, it's gone out now because I've been so busy jawing with you. I've forgotten the fire and I'm going to get into trouble. Have a lovely night, everybody. And I will see you on a pre-record tomorrow, no doubt, but I'll see you on a live next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.